Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, a viral video lands 4 Defense Force officers before a magistrate. We've got the story. The family of the teen boy found dead mourns his loss tonight. Plus, life after Dorian, how Abaco and Grand Bahama residents are faring 1 year after the storm.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. 4 Defense Force officers found themselves on the other side of the law after a video of them allegedly violating curfew surfaced on social media. Georgia Bain has more.
It was this video posted on social media last week that sparked concern. Today, 4 Defense Force officers appeared in the magistrate's court to face charges. 36-year-old Lamont Johnson seen in the striped shirt, 35-year-old Shivargo Green seen in the red shirt, 28-year-old Ashton Darville seen in the black shirt, and 37-year-old Yokamika Bethel seen in the blue were charged with violating curfew. It is alleged that on Saturday, August 22nd, at about 11 p.m., the Marines were at the Farm nightclub in South Abaco without permission of a specified competent authority. All of the Marines entered a not guilty plea to this charge and were granted $500 bail on their own recognizance and will return to court on November 19th for the beginning of trial on this charge. Darville faced a second charge of stealing from a person. It is alleged that the Marines stole an iPhone XS Max valued at $1,500 from Eliandra Cooper, the property of Erica Johnson. Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt informed the Marine that it was out of her jurisdiction to grant bail, but told him that he could apply for bail in Supreme Court. His lawyers Wayne Monroe QC and Jomo Campbell left following the adjournment to apply for bail in Supreme Court. He was then granted $9,900 bail and told that he has to stay 200 feet away from the virtual complainants. Johnson faced 2 additional charges of possession of a firearm with intent to put another in fear. It's alleged that on August 22nd, while in South Abaco, while armed with a handgun, Johnson intended to put Erica Johnson and Raja Bethel in fear. Johnson entered a not guilty plea to this charge and was granted $1,500 bail with 1 surety. Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
National exams that were postponed in July are set to resume on September 14th. There is also a targeted reopening date of October 5th for public and private schools. The announcement was made by Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd during a press conference this afternoon. The exam period will run until October 5th. However, officials were asked what would happen to students who are already enrolled in college.
Those students who are already in UB will still be able to, if they wish, to take the national examinations. As the minister said earlier, it is not simply for getting into a university, but it is also a matter of them being able to bring closure to the 2019-2020 academic year and for their own personal gratification.
Schools in New Providence, Abaco, and Eleuthera will open virtually, while schools on all other islands, including Grand Bahama, will meet in person on October 5th. Director of Education Marcellus Taylor defended the decision to restrict Eleuthera to virtual learning.
When we look at the physical plant that we have there, we have to bear that in mind with the prevailing health conditions. And at this point, we are not confident that we'll be able to provide the social distancing that is necessary at this time in Eleuthera so that rates of infection would not get out of control. As soon as conditions are better, then we will, of course, look to see how we could accommodate Eleuthera.
Officials say private schools that have already opened for the virtual learning or have the capacity to properly effect social distancing can continue to operate. Lloyd defended private schools that have been criticized for charging the same fees for virtual learning that they did for regular classes.
It says private. Okay? Parents, caregivers have made a decision that they wish to engage their child's education in a private circumstance. And I've been, of course, been bothered by this by a number of parents, and I've invited them to please go to the school and speak to the principals of the school, the administration and so on, and have a conversation with them in this regard.
Family members of 17-year-old LeVard McKenzie are distraught tonight after his body was found in bushes just one street over from where he lived. Berthian McDermott has the story.
This is just tragic, and the incident is very, very horrific.
That was the uncle of 17-year-old LeVard McKenzie, whose body was found dumped in bushes on London Avenue. According to police, shortly after 4 p.m. Sunday, officers received a report of a badly decomposed body that was discovered at the rear of a residence situated on East Avenue. Officers responded and on arrival were directed to bushes at the rear of a residence where they found the decomposing body of what appeared to be a male. Police have yet to confirm the identity of the body, but Dorset said a description of the victim's clothes confirmed to family members that it was his nephew.
It's so tragic. A 17-year-old boy has lost his life. Well, we don't even know, don't have a clue as to the reason why. But I'm trying to understand the society in which we live now, where you could take someone so young, take his life, leave him in the bush, laying down like a carcass, a dead carcass.
After a few days had passed with no results, Dorset said the family decided to take matters into their own hands.
Yesterday afternoon, we realized that we felt that nothing was happening. So what we did this morning is we got together, the whole family got together, came down here, and we saw on my sister's camera where they went, the direction in which they headed, and the street that they were on. So what we did, we went to each house, knocking on each door, especially those with cameras, so they could give us some footage.
Dorset added that family members haven't slept since LeVard went missing on Thursday, adding that his death is a heavy blow for their tight-knitted family. He says his nephew was always mannerly and respectful. He also cautioned others to be mindful of the company.
This is a candid example of company. We have to be very, very mindful of the company we keep, you understand? And the persons who we saw in the camera, it was his friend. It was his friend that comes here every day.
Now the 17-year-old's body was found in bushes right behind me. This is just one street over from where he lived. We spoke to residents of this area who said they had no idea his body was dumped just a few feet away from their doorstep.
And I came out to get some water. When I look outside, I saw the police and everything. And when I came outside, then the other persons in the yard told me that they found the body just in the dirt road up there. And it was the young man that they were looking for.
LeVard's family is calling for justice to be served in this matter. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthian McDermott.
This time last year, Grand Bahamians were deep into storm preparations as they watched a Category 4 hurricane strengthen to Category 5. 1 year later, the struggle continues for many residents who lost just about everything.
Dorian come and knock everything out, break everything down.
Living in the only half of his McLeanstown home Dorian left behind, George Newbold and his wife do what they must to make it by. And while he doesn't have much, he's grateful he changed his mind and decided not to ride out the storm at home.
I don't think we really saved is that same car there, because they called us when the hurricane started. They say, I wasn't going there because we always ride the hurricane out. But we came here and say it's 18 feet up. So we said, well, we got to get out.
A year later, Newbold speaks with us from his kitchen. Despite being in his 70s, Newbold is pretty independent. Not wanting to receive money from his children, he lies and tells them he's okay and makes it by with his pension and donations.
So difficult.
I never thought it would come to this. All the years.
He got emotional as he explained that he's not the only elderly resident of that area in that situation.
It's hate me to see. We here. And the government not doing. And so many old people down, people are hating, won't come home. And they're not doing anything for them when they're home. Help them. Help them to come back home. Every time I talk with one, they say how bad they're hating. They won't come back home. Let them help them back home.
His wife is ill and is a diabetic, but he does what he must to take care of her. The busted walls, windows, and roof of his home serve as a telltale sign of the struggles of life over the past year.
This deep freeze here, keep your little meat and things in for her. That's our next room there, our bathroom here. That's our room there. You know, we trying to get all this to when the plumber, electrician come. You finish put all the rock sheet in and do that. I do it my own way. Yeah, God, thank God I could manage to do a little something myself.
Their clothes hang outside on a line from tree to tree. Residing on the eastern end of Grand Bahama, 3 little jugs of gas take them through the week to keep their generator going for electricity.
One night, it'll burn the whole fire. Yeah, one night. So I just cut it. Say 2 o'clock, it's a good time to come and cut it off. You got some more leave for the next night.
When Dorian rolled through and sat over Grand Bahama for nearly 48 hours last year, it turned life upside down for that island's residents who know all too well what it is to suffer for months and sometimes years after hurricane. While he has his own struggles, Newbold said he would love to see more done for others in perhaps worse situations than his.
It's hard being at home, and I thank for that, but I just don't know what's going on. I would like to see more things happen for the older people and the people in McLeanstown. You got so many hating, you know. And what about some who ain't got no pension to buy the little food, you know?
Well, a man who lost his mother and his arm during Hurricane Dorian says life is challenging, but there is a glimmer of hope. Jared Higgs has his story.
1 year ago, 37-year-old Eric Auguste watched in horror as his mother was swept away in a storm surge in Treasure Key, Abaco during Hurricane Dorian.
Saddest thing ever. You know, you could never replace that person that bring you into this world.
She was hanging on to his left arm, which was severed from his body by flying debris just moments before.
Just to come in, you know, from the States to see me, to stay with me. And, you know, little that I know, she just gonna die that same week.
We interviewed Auguste, who is currently in Abaco, on Zoom. The last year has been a roller coaster for him as he spent months in a U.S. hospital and had to learn to navigate life with one arm. He finds himself constantly frustrated by his inability to do the small things he did pre-Dorian. His work as an electrician just isn't feasible.
Of course, as an electrician, you put your hands to work to do what you gotta do. It's just not easy. You know, there's no way, you know, you're gonna go to work and with one hand because you need both hands to do work.
Despite the challenges of the last year, Dorian's anniversary will not be spent in total mourning.
I have 2 kids, and now I'm expecting another one.
As a matter of fact, he says this bundle of joy is expected to be born on the 1-year anniversary of the storm.
Tomorrow, only God knows, because right now the time is there. I spoke to my wife and she's like, baby, I think it's it. That's, you know, I don't want much longer anymore.
Auguste and his family started to relocate back to Abaco at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in March. He hopes he'll be able to return to Treasure Key by the end of September.
There's no job, but God always found a way to provide for his children.
Despite his condition, Auguste is grateful.
I'm content with the way I am. I don't feel no type of way. I accept it because I know I did it for my mom and I'm going to do it again.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
For many Dorian survivors, tomorrow's 1-year anniversary is a time to reflect on what they've lost and how their lives have completely changed over the last 12 months. But for an Abaco pastor who walked away from a plane crash less than a week ago, it's also a time to reflect on how he cheated death twice in less than a year. Jasmine Brown reports.
Pastor Cedric Bullard gained national fame after he crash-landed his small plane in a swamp on Abaco. And while he and his passengers escaped unscathed, he says he has a lot more to be thankful for this year. Bullard is one of thousands of Abaconians who lost just about everything when Hurricane Dorian descended on that island on September 1st. He lost not only his home, but also his church.
The home was totally destroyed in terms of the roof and the inside. The church, the very same thing. The church is a big church, 2-story, can hold about 450 persons. And it's a 2-story building. Water came from the top out, and there was about two inches of water that settled on the inside of it.
Bullard says the time he spent hunkered down in his church while Dorian destroyed everything around him is an experience he will never forget.
There was nothing on Abaco in terms of between Marsh Harbor and Cooperstown was or Crown Haven was left untouched.
While the Abaco pastor who rode out the storm at his church says he lost all his worldly possessions, he, his wife, 5 kids, and grandkids did not lose their lives, and they have been able to rebuild those structures over the last year. The former president of Abaco's Christian Council says surviving Dorian last year and the plane crash last week has had a profound impact on his life and made him even more grateful to be alive.
I am convinced that I am here for a purpose. I am convinced that there are many, many souls that are lost that they didn't find. But the fact that we're here, and I'm here the second time, I beat that twice, I should say. We must give thanks.
Now, a year later, Bullard says there is still a lot to do in Abaco, but Abaconians should not despair but rejoice in what they have.
No one would have talked about this. Thousands of people would have died in that hurricane. They will never find some people. I know weather, and I know 25 feet of surge coming over Abaco that is a very low land. They will never find some people. I've lost a family member. I haven't seen him yet.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. More news on the way, but here's a first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good night, Greg.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Currently outside our studios, we have partly cloudy skies, temperature of 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds are out of the southeast at 5 knots. Feels like temperature around 92 degrees Fahrenheit. On our satellite, mostly dry and stable air mass covers the Bahamas with upper level trough to the north, supporting a few showers and thunderstorms mainly across the northern islands. This activity will diminish this evening through tonight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, the Chamber of Commerce CEO resigns. Plus, beach lovers hit the water as the island's beaches reopen. Stay tuned.
Rev over the next promotion. Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
Best 2 out of 3.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
From swimming to walking the dog, New Providence residents took full advantage of beaches reopening for a few hours every morning. Jillian Gray reports.
After weeks of being barred from the beach, New Providence residents showed up in droves, some to exercise, others to catch a morning dip. And while they say they appreciate the beaches being opened, they say they'd prefer for the time to be extended.
We would appreciate it if it's extended a little more, you know.
We would have never closed the beach.
Extend past lunch. You'd have like from 9 to 1. That'd be nice. Because in the mornings, you gotta come from your home to get here. We need this. This is healing for the Bahamian people. Yes! This is what we need. You take this away from us, then our bodies will break down.
Weeks after New Providence beaches were shut down, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis recently announced this restriction would be lifted for 4 hours in the morning beginning today.
Celebrate 9,000 people on here. 5, 4, 3. You gotta go back up and come back 2.
Anastasia said while it's a hassle getting the kids up for school, that was not the case when it came to getting ready for the beach this morning.
The kids, they've been locked up from school for a long time. You know, they get tired of the yard and the house.
Darren Dames swam, exercised, and chatted at a distance with a few friends. He said the beach was a breath of fresh air, and after being locked in the house for weeks, he set his alarm this morning to ensure he maximized the new freedom.
What? This is like heaven sent. This is a blessing from heaven.
Did you have your alarm set this morning?
Well, the alarm was set like from 5:30.
From walking the dog to waterboarding, running to lifting weights, families made sure to use the picturesque beach time to exercise. Before the lockdowns, Sean Albury and his friends worked out on the beach in the evening. After having to work out at home for nearly 2 months, they shifted their exercise time to mornings this week just to take advantage of the cool breeze and warm sunshine.
We just came out there to try to get a workout in and make sure we stay fit. And it's been like months now since we've been on the beach, so Just had to get a first feel of it.
And at 9 a.m., the beach fun was done as a representative from Beaches and Parks went to each beach to put up the closed sign.
Once they come out of the water, they need to keep their masks on while they're out there on the beach because we still need safety and security because we know what's going on. But all of this can depend on us working together so we can get our lives back to normal.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
After a year and a half of holding the post, Bahamas Chamber of Commerce CEO Jeffrey Beckles has resigned. Beckles, who took up the post in December 2018, is set to step down on September 14th. Beckles says he remains committed to the chamber and its role in society and will do what he must, but the decision was made in the best interest of his family.
I believe very strongly in the mandate that the chamber has. These are extraordinary times, and my family and I decided to seize an opportunity that came our way to better secure ourselves going forward. But that gives me still the ability to very much support the mandate of the chamber and to continue our advocacy efforts on behalf of the private sector and the wider community.
Beckles thanked the board of directors and members of the chamber for their support over the past 21 months. He said he remains committed to the chamber and its goals, from helping smaller businesses to finding the best replacement.
From a holistic standpoint, as I said earlier, I think the chamber is very well positioned. Its voice, its message to the small and medium-sized community has been very, very clear. And I believe that we have something to build on. I also believe, though, that even in the wake of my departure, one of the things that is critical is that the chamber is not losing an ally. We still have the ability to work with our stakeholders, work with our partners, because at the end of the day, Kyle, there are conversations to be had in this country that need to be had.
Still to come, more businesses allowed to reopen. Stay tuned.
Rev up on the next promotion? Okay. Nice.
Bye. Bye. You give up it.
Best 2 out of 3.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
The majority of businesses reopened today following weeks-long closures. Business owners say they were happy to welcome customers back and use their downtime to improve their services. Bethany McDermott reports.
Residents packed streets of the capital today as most businesses were allowed to reopen. Business owners we spoke to today applauded the move, adding that business has been looking pretty good so far.
Well, business has been pretty good for us. We had a lot of shoppers coming in, looking and purchasing a lot of stuff too.
So far for the morning, the barbers and the beautician has had persons because they would have made their appointments prior.
So far, business has been okay, seeing as though we're starting to open back up today as the government implements their new phase opening.
On August 3rd, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, acting on the advice of health officials, announced a strict 2-week lockdown in hopes of curbing the rapid spread of COVID-19. Only essential businesses like pharmacies, grocery stores, gas stations, and water depots were allowed to reopen. The mall at Marathon was packed with residents looking to pick up needed items. It was there we met owner of Rising Stars Beauty Salon, Caroline Turnquest, who said the downtime due to the lockdown proved to be a difficult period for them.
Well, it was a financial strain, as a matter of fact, because as you know, we still had the commitments of the rent as well as the utilities, etc.
Other business owners shared a different sentiment, noting that they used the downtime to make necessary improvements to their business.
The downtime for myself was just being able to reach out to staff, inquiring about what their concerns were, anything that we can change on our return. What can we do differently?
So the downtime, we just kind of use it to just kind of regroup, reorganize, come up with some new plans, maybe some new recipes. We were operating actually via Craven, the delivery app.
What I did during my downtime, I just used it to come up with new ideas, new recipes, things of that nature. I used it to my advantage. Even though I wasn't directly working, I still used it to do some of the stuff, like back house stuff.
Reporting for our news, I'm Bethany McDermott.
All right, thanks, Berthany. Still to come, meteorologist Greg Thompson has an extended look at this week's weather. Stay tuned.
Rev up on the next promotion. Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
Best 2 out of 3.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
Welcome back. We now throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your second look at weather, being brought to you by Generali. Surface high pressure continues across the area and will persist through the next few days, providing us with hot weather conditions around the islands. Few isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms can be expected daily. We continue to watch tropics as 4 systems are being monitored for further development. None of these threatening the Bahamas at this time. Your boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Southeast to south flow, 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. While in the southeast Bahamas, east to southeast flow, 15 to 20 knots, seas running 4 to 6 feet. Here's a look now at your national forecast. Now a look at your extended forecast through Saturday. That's your look at your weather. Make it a great night, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Remember, you can catch Our News on the go with the RevGo Play app. Have a good Monday evening, Bahamas.